All right, I'm here with Miss Phoebe. This is Phoebe. Phoebe is a very fearful dog, and she was just adopted about a month ago. And so in this video, we're going to go over some tips, Phoebe, that you can use if you have a dog that's overly fearful. Now, I'm using really, really high value treats here. And one of the first games I'm doing is an engagement game. Every time she looks at me, I say yes, and I'm throwing a treat, but I'm throwing the treat behind her. Yes. What we should see is her coming a little bit closer to me. So I'm ready. Yes. When she looks at me, I throw the treat. Yes. I'm trying to throw it behind her. Yes. So a lot of us, when we have a fearful dog, we only throw the treats in between us. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the dog to come close to us. I want to do the same thing. Yes. But I'm throwing them, I'd like to throw them behind her. Now these are freeze-dried beef liver, so they don't fly as well as I'd like. Yes. And so when I throw it behind her, it gives her the ability to kind of take a breath. If you think about it for us, if we do something difficult, when we get done, we have a big exhale. Oh. And so now every once in a while I can leave a treat here between us, but I really want to try to throw most of them behind her because you saw she was going to move that way anyways. Yes. So you see she's starting to come closer to me, but it's not because I'm offering the treats here. Yes. I'm the giver of the treats, but because I'm throwing the treats behind her, I'm not trying to trap her or trick her into doing something she doesn't want to do. Yes. Now, as you're seeing, she's coming a little bit closer. Yes. I'm a little bit late on my yeses. It should be the instant she looks. Yes. So now she's behind that little wall barrier, but what's she doing? She's coming closer to me each time. Yes. And every once in a while, I can throw one in between, and she gets a little bit closer. Now, when we have a dog like Phoebe here, one of the things we want to do is we want to pet them. And that's how we think that we make friends with them. For a fearful dog, the last thing they want you to do is pet them. Really, the best thing you can do is be passive. Now, the guardian, when I first came in, Phoebe here kind of grumbled a little bit at me, and the guardian kind of told her no, because she's a nice, considerate person. We want our guests to feel safe and secure in our home. But for a dog, when they growl, they're essentially saying, I feel uncomfortable or I disagree. And really what they're trying to do is make the other thing go away. Another way to think about that is they want more distance. So what am I doing? I'm achieving distance. I'm moving the treat behind her. And she's now looking for the really tasty treat that I'm throwing there. She goes, she found it. And then she's coming back to the person who's giving the treats. But again, you see her body. She's lingering. Her feet are underneath her. Her ears look good. Her eyes look good. She's not twitching her head, snapping her head around. Those are indications of cortisol, the stress hormone. And she's interested in me, yes. And so when she is, I'm throwing those treats, trying to throw them at the dog, but behind the dog. And then every once in a while, I'll throw one off to the side. Now, if I want to get her to come over here, I might kind of throw a couple here like this. And then when she comes close, the thing I need to do, I can talk because I've been talking for several hours in this session, but I can't move. If I move, I'm going to make her feel unnerved. So you see how much courage it's taking her just to come up and get those treats. I'm not giving her eye contact because that would be a challenge. I'm not reaching for her because this is just hard for her to do anyways. So this one treat that's left in front of my foot there is just a little bit too close for her. So I'm going to make it a little bit easier for her to get a couple more, and hopefully she'll come up and get that last treat. But that last treat kind of tells us how comfortable she is, so how much confidence she has. There we go. So where before she couldn't come and take that one because I created a little bit of moral support by offering those other treats, she got a little bit closer and a little bit closer, and she's still coming closer, even though I'm not offering treats right now. And you see that little twitch that she just gave? That's an illustration of what we call cortisol, what's known as cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It goes into our body when we're in dangerous situations. It kind of helps us so that we understand that that this, I'm about to get mugged. If I'm a soldier in battle, something is about to happen. It gives me that sixth sense. It's helpful, but only in short bouts. It's not healthy for us to have this in our blood for too long. So there we go. So she's closer, so I throw a treat behind her. But again, you see that her curiosity, her feet are underneath her. She's not breathing heavy. She's not snapping her head around, and she's interested in coming up. And now I can offer one treat in the same place that I put before where she couldn't take it. Now that she take it, she came forward and she's lingering. So now the treats I'm using are, again, my highest level treats. These should not be your everyday treat because they're such a high value treat. They can give you a pancreatitis if they use them all the time in the liver. We want to think, I want to feed the dog out of my hand. Oh, that's a nice accomplishment. That's not always something that's required. And we can sometimes do that, but our hand sometimes can make a dog feel uncomfortable. So if I want to do that, I can try to do something like this and offer a couple of treats, hold my hand steady and not move it. And let's see if she'll take it. If she doesn't want to take it, that's totally fine as well. Now, if she comes to a guest, we like the guest just to hold still and not try to pet her. We'd like her to come and approach and sniff the guest at least 3 different times of her own volition before we actually try to pet her. And when I'm interacting with a dog like her, I like to move as if I'm underwater, a very fluid movement, and I don't move unless she's looking at me first. If she gets caught off guard, that's going to startle her and she's going to be very uncomfortable. Probably is going to set off a cortisol spike. She's going to bark and bluster and try to make the thing go away. Barking usually makes things go away, so she wants to do it. So you see she's trying to move away a little bit. Her guardian is kind of blocking her so she stays in the shot. Now, we don't want to flood a dog and force them to be around things, but I've been here for a couple hours. I have not tried to pet her. And because of that, and because I have these great treats, you see she's lingering, and she's giving me some soft eyes, which we like. Now, licking and chewing release the feel-good endorphins is oxytocin and serotonin. For a dog like hers, one of the things I'd like you to do is get a lick mat. Every time a guest, well, first couple times you do it without any guests around. Smother the peanut butter or cream cheese or frozen yogurt on it, let her lick it. I would probably get 2, so because we have Athena, another dog in the house as well. So they're both licking it and having that feel good. It's kind of like a runner's high, that sort of, it's not high like they smoke a joint, but it does make them feel a little bit better. So I would do that a couple times. Now, Phoebe here is not fully comfortable with one of her guardians. The partner is very tall, and tall can be hard for dogs, especially little dogs. So what we'd like to do is when the partner comes home, maybe you have, at first, the first day or 2, you have a lick mat, and when the partner comes home, the lick mat comes out. Mm-hmm. So she gets to lick the lick mat, and here you go, sweetie. She gets to lick the lick mat, and we're hoping to pair the positive feelings of this person arriving with the oxytocin and serotonin release that comes from licking. And so, and then the idea is we're going to try to be quiet and still when this is the case and give her an opportunity to kind of check things out on her own terms. Don't put it right next to the person, but eventually we'd like to, maybe we start off having it here, next time it's here, here, here. We don't have to get it next to her, just being in close proximity will help, but it would be also nice because they have to stay at that thing for a couple minutes licking. So that might be a nice way for them to get a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Now, she's not as like this with your partner, correct?
No.
So we can also teach her some basic obedience. We went over clicker training. Most dogs, when we start clicking, they recognize I'm going to get a lot of treats. So maybe he just does some basic obedience with her. Does she know, sit? Can you sit for us, Phoebe? It's like, no, I cannot sit for you. Sit. So see how she's moving away? That's her way of saying she's uncomfortable. So I'm going to throw a treat behind her. Give her a chance to move away and recollect herself. But since the partner, since she's more relaxed with the partner could walk around the house, ask for a sit, lure her into the sit. When she sits, put the clicker behind the back, click, and then give her a treat. Then walk a couple steps and do this around the house. Let's have Phoebe practice listening to this tall guardian, and every time I listen to him, something good happens to me. After a while, she's going to start feeling more and more relaxed. Now, the last little thing I'm going to go over this little tip is, you can let her down too now. This is her other buddy. This is Miss Athena. And she's does not have to have the confidence issues. There we go. But because Athena's here, she felt a little bit more comfortable and confident in approaching. And again, see, so I can probably go ahead and get her to take a treat out of my hand. Almost there yet. Not quite there. So one of the things I recommend to the guardian is to not have the person come in to meet her here. There we go. When she came, I had to stop talking because that was a lot. And so I'm putting as close to her as I can so she doesn't have to go too far. Every time she comes towards me and I don't pet her, yes, let's not go directly into the deal. It's like, but I'm Athena, I'm the smart dog. I'm going to go get that right away. So if every time somebody comes over, when we come over, we're essentially invading the dog's space. I guess let me finish my train of thought. So if I hold the treat out, she licks it off my hand, like I will right here with Athena. I leave my hand there. And see how Athena licked my hand a second time? She might do it a third time. Did I miss anything? Is there some food there? Yep. So every time she does that, she's interacting with me a little bit more. So if you do get to the point where you can hold your hand out and she takes the treat, keep your hands still. so that hopefully she comes and licks and gets to meet you a little bit more. But again, your guests should try to avoid looking at her, talking to her. I know it's hard because she's so cute, or petting her or moving towards her, and letting her do it on her own. Now, what I like to do is meet outside. Now, you living in an apartment is kind of harder. What you could do is maybe have, that's fine, have somebody meet maybe in the hallway. So when you come out in here, or somebody comes in your house, they're invading your space. But if we basically can have maybe the person outside, and maybe you leave a little small cachet of treats. I forget how close you are. How close are you in your hallway to a bend?
To a bend? Oh, it's like by this.
How many? 20
like,
paces?
Yeah.
So what I would do is have your person, your guest, around the bend, sitting down. Now, front facing is confrontational. So really for this, I probably, now that I think about this, should have been positioned myself like this. This is going to make it a little bit easier for Miss Phoebe, I was calling her Chloe, for Phoebe to approach me sideways than front facing. So I was using a little bit of a tactical error by doing that. See, I'm holding my hand. She came and sniffed it a second time. So what we'd like to do is have your friend sitting on the hallway, on the floor in the hallway, and leave a treat trail from your front door every about 6 inches for the first 3 or 4 treats, and then go to about every foot and make it a straight dotted line. So she'll be able to identify that's a line. Try to get a contrasting color. And then basically goes around the corner right before she's going to go around the corner, right before she's going to see the friend that's sitting down. You should have a small cachet of treats and sometimes a little bit of a higher value treat. I'd like to have the dog have, I'd like to have the dog have a treat in their mouth before they see the person. So you see now, because I'm sideways, because I'm leaving my hand, she's lingering. Also, Athena here is probably helpful. But for this exercise outside, I'd probably not have Athena. So basically, you're going to leave a treat trail, and then right before she's going to come around the corner and see the person, she grabs maybe a big couple bites. Next step, she turns around the corner and she sees the people. The people are sitting there quietly. If there's a couple people, have them meet one at a time. And then basically, the treat trail I have lead right up to the person, and the person has a small handful of treats. See how close she is? This is the closest she's been during the session. You're going to go right into the treat pouch because I'm not trying to pet her. So basically, she's approaching the person because she's getting those treats. And I would probably do the treat trail with nobody there the first couple of times. So she's just like, oh, this is the game where you put treats on the ground. And I got to go look them up. So she gets used to it without any scary things at the end. But basically then you're gonna come around that corner. She has the big chunk of treats right before she sees them. She takes another step, sees them. Hopefully she comes all the way up to them and the person's not trying to pet them and pet her at all. The treats come right up to them. Hopefully she sniffs the person. That's what we'd love to see her. If she doesn't, have the person do what I was just doing here. When she's looking, throw a treat behind her in the hallway. Throw a treat behind her in the hallway. Now, if somebody comes in the hallway with a dog, she has dog reactivity issues. We would get up and just walk. You would just go back in your place and they just kind of stay seated there. They might have some treat trails you might have to recreate. But the idea is we want to meet outside of the apartment. I normally would like to do this outside the house, but this is an apartment building and it's a little bit busy outside. And I think that's probably going to be easier for you just in the hallway. So now she has a way of meeting. Once she meets the person and she sniffed them once or twice, then I would have them throw some treats way behind her. And I'll kind of simulate it here, even though I'll get a little bit out of the shot. And so what I would do is if I stand up, that kind of creates a little bit more authority. So I'm going to throw a treat way behind. Getting old is not fun. So now I've rocked myself up to this position. She comes back. I throw another treat behind her. And she ran to the bedroom that time. There we go. And then I would kind of rock myself up into where like I'm going to crouch like a catcher. And then when she comes back, I throw another treat behind her, and I kind of stand up halfway. So I'm kind of crouched down, throw another treat behind her. So if I just stand up, that's pretty authoritative, and it's hard for a lot of dogs, and now a lot of dogs are going to have a problem with that. So because I'm in this position now, she is uncomfortable coming and taking the treat out of my hand, where when I was sitting on my butt, it was a little bit harder for me to come and snatch her. So she felt a little bit more comfortable in that position. So we want to gradually get up, and then once we're up, and I would have her on a leash for this, obviously, and then just walk down your hallway and have them just toss a treat and ask for her to sit and see if you can get her to give a treat or two. And it might be the sort of time where she might need to meet a couple people like this, and then you bring her back inside, you put your shoes on, and then you go out, and then you guys go out and get a coffee or a cocktail or whatever it is, and she meets that person 1 or 2 more times. We want to wait for her to approach them on her own and sniff, and maybe even take a treat if we can before that person comes in the home. And so we take a little bit of a walk down your hallway and they're giving her treats. We're asking her sit. If she sits, that's a good indication she feels comfortable about sitting. But basically the name of the game is really going to be to not surprise her, move slowly, and be very passive and indifferent to her. Let her do all the approaching. Well, this good looking girl here is Miss Phoebe. Yes, Miss Phoebe. And these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that's a little bit fearful about meeting new people.